never wanted to date a filmmaker.
How'd that work out for you?
Listen, hold on.
It was clear that she was the most amazing woman that I'd ever met, and I couldn't imagine what better was. 6 months later, I proposed to her.
Tommy and Codie Oliver is in the building.
Black love for us has always been more than romantic love. The Docuseries is about what it takes to make a marriage work, but blacklove.com is very much a website where we can highlight 360 degrees of black love.
Did you see it being successful?
100%. We knew our community wanted to see it.
There was a reason that we were so intentional about owning the show. We ultimately took a comically low license fee in exchange for being able to own it. Season 2, that the order at that point was 4 episodes. And we told them that 4 wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
The show premieres, and it's the highest rated premiere in the network's history. And so they're like, yeah, can we get those other 4 episodes? Yeah, but today's price
and
yesterday's price. Everything that came after wouldn't have happened if we didn't own every single episode.
I always go back to how y'all met.
Toronto Film Festival. I worked on behalf of Canon, the camera company. And I'm like, what was that? I said, is he interested in the equipment? And they said, yeah.
Interested in the equipment.
The equipment. I said, when do you leave? And I said, oh, well, we leave on Wednesday night, but we don't work on Wednesday during the day if you wanted to chat. And he said, are you hitting on me? Which was rude, okay?
I don't like ambiguity. 1, I had just had my premiere. 2, I had broken up with my girlfriend the day before.
The night before. To be very clear, that did not work for me. I wasn't like, oh, he's so attractive. What did was him finding me in the party after that.
It did. I got back to LA the following week, and then we hung out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Dang.
At that point, I called 5 people, and I said, unless something goes terribly wrong, I'm marrying this woman.
What did you hear as a man during those encounters that made you so sure?
It was clear that
the Dear Future Wifey podcast has global impact. From Texas,
I have been on this journey of healing and self-discovery, and this podcast has been a vital part of my process.
Guyana,
God's establishing through you a legacy, a display of freedom found in authentic spirituality.
California,
I've learned so much as a single man through your podcast and continue to learn so much as now a married man.
Nigeria.
This is just therapy for me. I've been healed. I've been strengthened in my convictions. I've understood how to do singlehood better.
Amsterdam.
The way that you've shown us how it is possible for a man to be as intentional as you are.
New Jersey.
I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate just being able to see that there is life after divorce.
To New York.
I am a single woman, so these episodes really give me hope and courage that God does have a husband for me.
Discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm Lateris R. Whitfield, and this is season 10 of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Lateris R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. And while you're at it, go into the description and sign up for the mailing list. We have some exciting things that'll be taking place over the next couple of months, and you want to make sure that you stay abreast for those new things. You know what? It's certain people that I have on a podcast that I believe is a huge God wink. And I'll get into it after I introduce them. But you know what? Without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homies, Tommy and Codie Oliver is in the building. How y'all doing, man?
Great.
We're good and happy to be here.
Tom, slide your microphone over. You like to talk all cool and sexy and stuff. So you gotta have the microphone as close.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah. Listen, let me tell y'all something. So I like to give people their flowers. I'll share this. When y'all started Black Love, the amazing docuseries that y'all created, it was so impactful to my life. It was the first time ever that we were able to witness an inside look into married couples' lives and Black married couples' lives, to be more specific. And what was so revolutionary about what y'all created is that in our households, we were always taught what happens in this house stays in this house. And what y'all did was shine a huge light and amplify voices of Black families to be able to share the idiosyncrasies that Black families went through. And so I just want to salute y'all and thank y'all so much, because without Black love, the Dear Future Wifey podcast wouldn't exist. And I don't ever want to sit here and think that this idea came solely from my own inception and conception. It was the seeds that were planted watching Black Love that made me say, gosh, this is amazing. And then it served as a seed in my mind. And when it came time for me to go heal publicly, then I would always go back on Black Love and say, I love what the Olivers was able to create. And so thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Codie, for what y'all were able to create with Black Love.
That means so much. You have no idea.
I bet you never knew that, huh?
I really didn't. I mean, I'm grateful. I was telling Tommy or reminding Tommy like when we met.
How did we meet?
2020.
Yep.
So fully during the pandemic. And I'm trying to remember if I sought you out or if we on Black Love, because, you know, for folks that don't know, Black Love is more than the docuseries, right? blacklove.com, socials, YouTube, etc. And it was, we were coming up on National Adoption Day.
Actually,
and I think I found your story.
But it was a month before that. Kenny and Faith, I shot their wedding.
Yes.
Yes, I shot their wedding. That was March the 8th of 2020. And y'all shared the reel. And and so that was a situation that first started the introduction. And then National Adoption Day came and y'all told the story of me adopting my son Armani and Ladarian. And that was like a huge moment for me because I always want to amplify adoption in the Black community because oftentimes it's unfortunate, but our white counterparts adopt our kids more often than we do. And so I thought that was beautiful because here I am, a huge fan of everything that y'all do, that I was like, what? They reached out to little old me and they did a whole story on their website. And I was like, man, I was sharing that with everybody. I was like, look at what God is doing. So it's things like that y'all are not fully aware of, because sometimes when you're in your space of creating and building business, you don't understand the impact of what it's doing for the people that get an opportunity to share in y'all's platform.
Well, I'll also say it's so meaningful that we know each other through that because Black Love for us has always been more than romantic love. So Black Love, the docuseries, is about what it takes to make a marriage work. But blacklove.com and everything that we do year round and have done since 2017 and before is very much brotherhood, sisterhood, fatherhood, friendship, self-love.
Good.
Dating and marriage are a part of that. But like for you to be able to share your not just fatherhood journey, but fatherhood via adoption journey, your sister's son adopting your, you know what I'm saying? Like it's family. That's Black Love.
I'm glad you had the context around that because sometimes people can pigeonhole Black Love to just romantic love. How have y'all shaped that or made sure that y'all expanded on that? Because the first introduction, wasn't it the docuseries? And then y'all had to start expanding it. So what was the first inception of wanting to expand it outside of love?
You can go.
Why he seemed like to be he was the mastermind behind it?
I'm just giving him, an opportunity because he knows I'll talk, and I know he'll sit and not talk.
Exactly.
But that's
I'm gonna get him though.
I'm gonna get Tommy.
Place, I know it. I'm gonna get Tommy though. I know how Tommy is. We're gonna get him to talk.
So Tommy and I always planned for Black Love to be more than romantic love.
Okay.
We always planned for a website where we can highlight 360 degrees of Black Love.
Good.
So when we launched the docuseries in 2017, we were preparing blacklove.com, which launched in October 2018, as did the Black Love Summit. Now, that was important because we had already, when y'all saw the docuseries in 2017, we started doing interviews in 2014.
Oh.
So we had 100 plus interviews and the first season was complete before we even went out with the show.
Really?
So by the time 2017 happened.
And by the time season 1 came out, we were already in post on season 2.
Correct. So all of that said, we knew what we wanted to do, but we also talked to so many couples that we realized that marriage period is two people coming together as the sum of their experiences, as the sum of their relationships with their parents, the relationships of their parents that they saw, their siblings, how much they loved themselves or didn't. So we knew that the Black Love brand ecosystem universe was dependent on us talking about all of these other relationships.
Yeah. So how did it come? Tommy, I'm going to ask you, how did this come to be?
Which part?
The Black Love docuseries. Because you already had all these other, y'all shot it. Did y'all have funding at the very beginning? Did y'all self-fund it? Like, how did it start off?
So we did it a little differently. What?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, slide the microphone closer to
He was going to say that.
He said he did a little differently.
A little differently. So we shot the entire first season, all out of pocket. We cut a sizzle, we cut the first episode, we wrote a treatment, and we took it out. And the one place that Codie wanted was OWN. Mm-hmm. And so fortunately they were interested. And the usual deal when you're doing a TV show is where they own it, they control it, that's what it is.
Yep.
And we were going through and talking about it, and we were like, we wanted to license it. They were like, you want to do what? License it. They were like, huh? And mind you, I think at that point I had made 3 movies, 2 movies, 3. And so there wasn't a real company, and there wasn't a long track record of doing these sort of things, and folks weren't really doing it, but we knew what the potential was.
Yeah.
We knew what else we could do and what else we wanted to do. And so we ultimately took a comically low license fee for season 1 in exchange for being able to own it. And then a couple of things happened from that point. As we got closer to the rollout, we realized that OWN was mostly marketing on their own network, and that was it.
Meaning you don't see commercials or ads anywhere else.
Yeah.
So we started to do whatever we could. And so we took the little bit of money that we got from them, and we were doing digital ads. We started doing church screenings. And then I remember getting a call from our executive, and she was like, did you put up a billboard? I said, we put up several billboards.
We're in LA?
Yep. Well, were there others?
No, there was more than that. We did LA, Atlanta. I think we had one in New York.
That was smart.
That was him.
Yeah.
And so, but also to their credit, they had already ordered season 2. And so season 1 was 4 episodes. Season 2, that they ordered at that point, was 4 episodes.
What? Oh, was it?
Yes. I don't know. It definitely was.
No, I think it was 8. Then they were like, let's do part 1 and part 2.
It was 4? It was 4. And we told them that 4 wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
And they kept being like, no, 4 is what we want to do. I'm like, 4 is not going to work. We already shot some amazing interviews and it wasn't going to work. Cut 2, the show premieres, and it's the highest rated premiere in the network's history. And so they're like, yeah, can we get those other 4 episodes? Yeah, but today's price ain't yesterday's price.
We tried to help.
Pay me. What's up?
Exactly. Facts.
We got 8 episodes.
Facts.
And so that's how it started.
So when y'all first did it, as entrepreneurs and visionaries and creatives, we hope that things turn out the way we see it. Did you see it being successful? Because y'all was doing something that ain't been done before. So did you have this vision where you're like, I know that Black people want to see this, or you just felt like y'all doing what y'all want to see?
100%. We knew our community wanted to see it. I would say that, at least for me, from like a success standpoint, did we know like it was going to break records? Did we, no. We hoped all of that, right? We felt like it was possible. But I would say for me, it was like, I know our community needs to see this. I'm excited to get it out in the world for how it can help people and be a resource and be entertaining. Yeah. And everything else was a bonus.
It was go ahead.
So, yes. It's the sort of thing that everybody, and when you look back, people will say, oh yeah, I knew, or I didn't know this or whatever. There was a reason though that we were so intentional about owning the show. And so everything that came after wouldn't have happened.
Facts.
If we didn't own every single episode, every single interview. And so we knew that there was a need for us to see ourselves. We knew that there was a need for us to be able to have open conversations, to have the perspective that I didn't have enough of growing up, where I could I love my wife. I want to say married to my wife. There's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Right.
A lot of stuff I didn't know. And so being able to be around people who know more than me, I love that. And being able to share that with other people, I knew that there was something that was special about that and the value in that. And so I knew it was possible. And that's why I wanted us to do the deal the way that we did.
how did y'all come together as a couple? Were y'all both in agreement when y'all did that? Or was like, and I ain't talking about the business side, but just the idea of saying, hey, I want to do a docuseries about Black love. Whose idea was that? Were y'all both aligned and like, yeah, this would be great. We're going to use our finances to do it. Or were y'all like, man, I don't want to be spending all our money. Was it somebody playing devil's advocate with the dream?
No, I would say that when we started, so Tommy and I met September of 2013. And by October, maybe sooner than that, by October.
You should also see if you can get her to tell the story.
All right.
Not right now, but after.
Yeah, no, I wanted to. I'm going to have to say I always go back to how y'all met. I love those.
So by October, okay, let me be clear. When we met, my background, I had gone to film school. First Howard undergrad journalism, but then USC film school. When I met him, he was on his second film that he produced, first that he directed. And so I knew when we met, he was a director, producer, cinematographer, screenwriter. So I brought up this idea that I had for a very long time. This is 2013. I probably had the idea in 2007, and then it started to grow more in 2008 when the Obamas came into office. And so I was like, I have this idea called Black Love. I want to create a place where Black love stories live. And I thought it was like a coffee table book. I really, like, in my soul, I was like, I think it's a documentary, but like, I don't know how to make a documentary. Yeah. And he was like, cool, let's do it. Because he's a producer. So his brain is like, oh, okay, we can do that. But also he's a director and a cinematographer. So he's like, okay, I can do that. So there was he never hesitated.
And he thought it was going to be a coffee book.
I was going to make a coffee table book. I was like, there's no way. Like, also, when I first had the idea, documentaries weren't even cool.
No, at all.
You know what I mean?
Nobody
and then
watched
even
that.
in 2013, it was kind of like, is it a doc? I don't know. Are people going to watch that? So I will say that we started filming it like a documentary. You know what I mean? Like, we started doing these interviews, and we had it in our heads that we're going to have to shell out our own money and give a lot of time and energy and get some grants, maybe make this thing, take it to the festivals. Like, that was kind of the soft plan. And then evolution to a docuseries.
So y'all never had to go to no festivals or nothing, did you?
No, but we still had to put in a lot of our own. I do want to say this, that before we decided it would be a docuseries, one of the ways in which we got money, because we didn't get any grants at first, we got one eventually, but we were told time and time again, like, that's it? Just two people talking about their relationship? Like on a couch?
We're not cutting to them walking through the park or making avocado toast.
Right.
Or we're not going to have them throwing their shoe or...
that part. Okay. So that
Just
said, we
like,
went the route of writing personal letters to high net worth individuals or medium net worth individuals, but people that we could, that we had access to.
Yeah.
And because, again, this was a community-based project, we knew that this was for us, by us. And so if anybody's going to see the need for it, it's going to be the same Black people who invest in art and who are donating to Howard, et cetera, And so those are the people. I mean, ultimately, we got money from Grant Hill's parents, Calvin and Janet Hill. We got money from my mama. We got,
from my mama.
But when we say money...
very small amount.
Yeah.
But enough.
Like I think like single digit thousands.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't like y'all getting...
Like we were doing what we could, and so...
For sure.
But it was helpful where
we could
had
get plane
advocates.
tickets.
Because we're doing all of it out of pocket.
And I worked, previous to us meeting, I worked on behalf of Canon, the camera company, when they started their line of cinema cameras. So, they're known for photography. So they gave us a camera loan. Technically, they gave him a camera loan because he's a cinematographer. But that was my job, to connect Canon to cinematographers and directors.
You see what I'm saying?
So that's how we made the show.
And then we subsequently bought a whole bunch of Canons, and we own a whole bunch of Canons.
Yep.
So this is what I love about. So this is the part that gets me emotional about how I always call it purpose partners. I go beyond just marriage, and I say it's not just a wife, it's not just your husband, it's a purpose partner. So I get really excited when I hear stories of how people in purpose connect. You said, I went to film school, you had this vision. He's like, cool, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? He has the background, he has the expertise, he has the vision, and it's like, come on, let's go do it. And then you do it. And it's like, that's when you know you're connected with your purpose partner, is that it becomes so easy in doing the things that you know that God placed placed you on this earth to do?
Nobody said it was easy, though.
Well, I didn't say easy, but I'm talking about the connection.
Easy between us.
The connection to be able to build it. So so y'all met first on a professional level. How did it translate to personal?
Okay, fine. I'll tell the story.
Give me the water.
Give the water.
Let me get a sip of water.
A sip of water so she can break this down about what she did.
Okay.
What she did, you say?
Yeah, what she did.
Okay, so.
Oh, son of a...
We good? We good?
As long as it don't get on me, we all right.
Yeah, we good.
Now, if I had the other one,
No, I wasn't going to let you mess up this beautiful set with your plastic cups and your bright red straw.
thank you.
We getting all this BTS. Should I continue?
Yeah,
'Cause I can tell the story while he cleaned himself up.
Oh, yeah, because it just water.
Should I just continue?
Yeah, just continue.
All right. So in 2013, I was doing PR for Canon. This was me like trying to leave the film business. That's a conversation for another day. But I was working at a PR firm, but specifically on behalf of connecting Canon to directors and cinematographers. So we would go to film festivals and just try to get them to be interested in the equipment, which was new at the time. So Toronto Film Festival, Tommy premiered his film 1982, which is his directorial debut, stars Hill Harper, Sharon Leal, Ruby Dee's last film.
Yep.
And we have a lounge with the Hollywood Reporter where the cameras are displayed and the directors come in and they take their photos. And so I come in and I see him from across the room and I'm like, who is that? Okay, because at this point, it's 2013. I've been in the film industry in Los Angeles since 2007. You know, I am a networker. I thought I knew all the black people, especially the cute ones. And so I'm like, who is that? So nevertheless, I walk over to where he's looking at the equipment and he was leaving that part. And so I said to my colleagues, does he live in LA? And they said, yeah. I said, is he interested in the equipment? And they said, yeah. I was like, okay. So I got my business card.
Interested in the equipment.
I got my business card and I walked over to where he was and I introduced myself and I said, I'm Codie. I work with the Canon team. If you ever want to, chat about the equipment.
The equipment.
Yeah. So that was how we met around noon of that day. Okay. Is that accurate thus far? Yeah. Okay. So we chit-chatted, but he really was not giving me much. Right. Which was strange.
Have you seen me?
So we saw each other a couple of times that day. Well, actually... Yeah. We saw each other a couple of times that day because it's a film festival. You see people all day. You're in the same little and small environment. And by the third time, it was...
We saw each other one time in between where we were far apart in a movie theater. And
we just waved.
Yes, that was it.
Okay. Don't be making me tell the story and then you want to jump in. No, I'm just kidding.
So you want to get details. So make sure we're accurate.
The third time we saw each other was at a party and I was doing my job. Okay. So I was talking to another filmmaker like, hey, I work with Canon, and he's like,
she had also been talking about me during the day.
Huh? To Liz? Yes. I thought he was cute. I was like, I saw this cute guy earlier. I Googled him. Anyway.
I Googled him.
So yeah, let me add that part because I want to be clear. I Googled him right after we met.
Okay.
And that's because I never wanted to date a filmmaker.
Why not?
Because I'm a creative person and I didn't want there to be two of us. Okay, that's just my opinion. That's my take on things.
So say that because people be having these ideas about what they don't want, and it's not even based on anything. Like, so where'd that come from?
What it was based on is that often in creative fields there's a lack of stability, and for me at that time in my life, I did not want there to be two of us.
Okay, so
on
it was more on security.
Absolutely, and I was 29 when we met.
How'd that work out for you?
Listen, hold on. So I Googled him. And that's when I learned that he went to Carnegie Mellon. And I was like, oh. And he studied economics, digital media, and business. And I was like, oh, there's something interesting here.
Yes.
And that kind of fueled this crush that I had all day long. So by the time we saw each other the third time, and yes, I had dinner with a friend and I was like, hey, you heard of this filmmaker? But at this party late that night.
Is now our lawyer also.
She's our lawyer. She's one of my closest friends, yes. Our oldest children are a day apart.
A day apart. Wow.
So we went to a party. Run into this other filmmaker where I'm like, oh, you should shoot your next movie on Canon. And he was like, oh, my producer doesn't like Canon. And I was like, who's your producer? And he's like, Tommy Oliver. And I'm like, I know Tommy Oliver. You should shoot your film on Canon. And so then that's when you walked up, right? So he walks up and I'm like, oh, Tommy, hello.
I know Tommy. I know Tommy Oliver.
So we start chatting, or we're talking, and this is a film festival. Again, these things are like 10 days long. Mm-hmm. So it's Saturday, right? Sunday? Whatever. Monday. It's Monday. So I said, when do you leave? And he said, we leave on Saturday. And I said, oh, well, we leave on Wednesday night, but we don't work on Wednesday during the day if you wanted to like chat. And he said, are you hitting on me? Which was rude. Okay?
I don't like ambiguity.
It was rude. That's why he likes for me to tell the story. And he wants me to say that I was hitting on him.
Exactly.
I was making my presence known.
Making your presence known.
I was trying to do all the subtle but like clear enough things.
He wasn't picking it up.
He was not picking it up.
So Tommy, what was wrong?
Supposedly.
Tommy, why were you picking it up? When you saw her, what did you think?
I mean, look at her.
I know, but you may have been like, I ain't really looking for a relationship right now. You know, I'm here for business.
I wasn't, and I was there for business. And so,
see, this is the beginning of us having a 2-hour conversation with the terrorist, because you should give the people the 30 to 60 second version. And before you do, I will say, because people never know who they're meeting and what season they're in.
That part.
And we all want to make, this, because Dear Future Wifey, we know because of Black Love. We all want to make assessments on like, well, he said this when we first met or whatever. He didn't call me for 2 weeks. Please explain.
Yes. Educate the people.
So there were two things at play. One was I was there for business, and I was at the Toronto Film Festival with the first film I directed and wrote and produced, and I just had my premiere. And so there was a focus on that. Two, I had broken up with my girlfriend the day before.
The night before.
And so it was, but had that not happened, I mean, even still, the little bit of conversation we had, like, it wouldn't have even have been that. And so I'm not the sort of person where I'm going to entertain anything. And so, but it wasn't we're kind of broken up and we'll get back together. It was nice knowing you. You can go home. You are uninvited.
Like from Toronto. She was in Toronto.
Oh, she was there.
He sent her away.
Like you are
the night before.
You are uninvited from the premiere and the after party and everything else.
The whole event. Mm-hmm. She came there and got sent home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Flew out, flew back.
Oh! Woo!
Return to sender. That's a terrible timing. And then met her the next day. Met your wife.
Yes.
It was a classic situation. Your girlfriend was going to keep you from meeting your wife, huh?
Actually, it's like if she hadn't done or operated the way that she did, we wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly.
Which she, me or her?
Her.
But both.
If she
I was going to say both, actually.
Yes. If you hadn't hit on me.
Emphasis on hit on him.
Yes. Because I wasn't
in that space.
I wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't out trying to look or do it. I was like, no, I was like, I'm here for business. That's done. It was literally the night before. But also, again, had it not been as clear, like, we're done. This isn't gonna, be in a week. Okay, we're back together. No, we're done. Mm-hmm. And so,
are you one of those type of guys that when it's done, it's done, and ain't no gray areas?
You told me, Codie.
I would say yes. I would say yes.
So,
yes.
Like, So fast forward to when I ask, "Are you hitting on me?" Two things. One, I don't like ambiguity, as I've said. Two, I'm also a writer, and I'm kind of, I like to have fun. I can be quick on my toes when I want to have fun. I like a good story.
Yes, but I literally walked away. Just to be clear, I know. Mm-hmm. I said, so he says, are you hitting on me? I said, I don't know. And then somebody walks over and they're like, Tommy, I need you to come over here. And like, he says,
it was
don't
one of
move.
The sales agents for the film.
He says, don't move. And I was like, okay. He goes to wherever he goes, I am out. So to be very clear, that did not work for me. I wasn't like, oh, he's so attractive. No, I was like, this is embarrassing. I'm going to go.
Sorry.
That's how I felt.
To whom are you married right now?
But that's how I felt then.
It didn't work for her.
So it didn't.
I'm sorry, what?
No, that didn't. What did was him finding me in the party after that.
So you went to go search for her, Tommy?
I did. And so stuff happened in between when you were talking to your coworkers as well.
Yes.
Yes. And so, but I walked over to the other side of the party, found her, and we wound up talking that night until 3 a.m. And then the next night until 5 a.m. And then we did have lunch on that Wednesday.
Before you left.
Yep.
And then I got back to LA the following week. And then we hung out that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Dang.
And at that point, I called 5 people and I said, unless something goes terribly wrong, I'm marrying this woman.
You did?
I did.
What did you hear as a man during those encounters that made you so sure?
That it was clear that she was the most amazing woman that I'd ever met. And I couldn't imagine what better was.
Oh, God.
And so the idea of building a life and a family with her would be amazing if she would have me. And so
7 days. That's less than 7 days.
Yeah. And so cut to 6 months later, rooftop at the Hotel Wilshire, my 30th birthday party in front of 120 people, I proposed to her. And then we got married 11 months after that in Costa Rica.
Did you know he was going to propose?
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about her mama?
No.
You want to talk about her mama?
No, there's so many other things that we need to talk about.
No, here's the thing.
Listen, it's traumatic for me.
No.
It's traumatic.
This
is triggering. And my mom has asked us.
We got to work through our trauma. That's a part of it.
Okay.
You can't just
Long story short.
Look, I love her mama.
Yeah.
Her mama, you talk about spilling water. Her mama can't hold water.
Oh, Lord.
She cannot hold water. Lovely woman.
So what happened was...
What happened was... She told you, Codie.
Yes, essentially. He asked for permission. He asked for, was that what you call it?
Your hand in marriage?
Yes.
And my father has passed away. So he asked my mom, and she started saying on the phone, on speaker, he would be there and she would be like,
there was one time we were in the car together.
Something's going to happen at this party.
I'm like,
she told my sister, who then said, "Are you getting engaged at this party?" And then, of course,
you have a feeling. I requested permission explicitly to, what do you mean you don't have a feeling?
And my cousin, who lived in South Africa at the time, flew out for Tommy's 30th birthday. So many things were happening. Okay, so yes, I was hip. I did my best to ignore it, to be honest, because I wanted to be as surprised as possible, but also not expecting. You know what I mean? It was a time.
And then she denied her role in it for years.
Yeah, she feels really bad.
What's that got to do with?
I'm just saying that's where denial comes from sometimes.
That's where denial comes from.
Let this lady live.
So, Tommy, why was it so important for her to be surprised? Because a lot of people don't understand that when a man, I'm not gonna give you language for that. Why was that so important?
We at that point had talked about life. We had talked about kids and family, and marriage was something that was important to me. It was important to her, and so it wasn't as much that. I don't know, just how I wanted to do it. I wanted to, in that setting, I figured she would like it. Her family, she's a family people and friends, and I don't need people around.
He said, I don't need people.
I don't like new people.
No new friends.
You don't like old people.
You don't like old people, new people, young people.
I don't want people in my house. She wants somebody we find a middle ground, but for her, those things are important. And so I knew the idea of having people who loved her and who loved us and who would be in our lives would be meaningful for her.
And it was at your birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you weren't totally surprised, what did that mean to you for this man? Did he ever express to you that after those days, the pretty much a week, that he knew that you would be the person he would marry? Did he ever express that to you?
I don't think so, but we talked about,
absolutely not.
Like he said, we talked about life. We talked about what we wanted. Like marriage, partnership was important to us. Having kids was really important to us. So we had talked about all those things. We already lived together at that point as well. We lived together
after 3 months.
Yeah. So, no, he had not.
Story too?
No.
How you moved it?
No. I mean, I don't mind. It's not a secret. I'm just like, dang, I'm trying to. We gonna be here for 3 hours, which is fine.
No, you won't. So who moved in with who?
He moved in with me.
And when
tell a story.
Yeah, tell a story.
I hate y'all. All right.
You started.
Here's
when you
the
told
summary.
Me, you should tell them, give them context of what was happening when we met. So you opened the door.
You opened the door.
No, that was actually very important context.
Okay.
Okay. He did not live in LA. So he had just made this movie that premiered at the Toronto Film Festival. He did posts everywhere from San Francisco to Europe.
Wow.
And he's from Philly. And the movie was set in Philly. So he was all over all these places. And technically wasn't living anywhere. He was homeless. So
she likes to say that. There are two things. One, I had an Airbnb.
That's my story.
She called you a homosexual. She called you a homosexual, Tommy. That's what she called you.
Two, I still had my apartment in Seattle with Zach.
News to me. Okay. So
I just didn't go. I had another company in Seattle, so I'd be up there,
How old were y'all during that time? Y'all
29.
29, yeah.
Anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, so fast forward to we were spending all this time together, and maybe a month in, no, probably 2 months in, he and both of us had traveled during this time. So it wasn't we were just shacking up for. It was like sometimes he was gone, I was whatever, but he spent a lot of time in my house or wherever, what town, whatever I was living in at the time, and he started looking for his own apartment. But like on my street.
No, I wasn't looking on your street. I was looking.
What do you mean?
I was looking in general, and there happened to be a vacancy on the street, and so that was one of the 10 places on the list.
He said one of the 10.
One of the 10. The other one was a mile away. Anyway, so after that experience of looking with him at these two places that were walking distance, at some point I was like,
down the street.
Yeah. At some point I was like. And it's LA, right? It's expensive.
It was extremely expensive.
So I was just like, and he was already with me all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't you just live here?
He said, good, thank you. Ooh, I was waiting for you to say that.
So this was like November, right around Thanksgiving, maybe. I don't know. And I basically was like, December 1, like that's when we start this. And worst case, by the new year, if it's awful, you could just find somewhere else to live. You know what I mean? Like,
you got 30 days. He was on a probationary period, like a job.
So that's what happened. That's how we ended up living together.
So in your mind, did you see, so his inner workings in his mind was like, this is going to be my wife. Unless something catastrophically happens, this is my wife. What were you thinking? Because you had this huge crush on him at the very beginning. Did it build? Did you talk to your homegirls and be like, I think I met my husband?
Yes, I did, for sure.
At what period?
Maybe right away. But then I'm very much a like, okay, now that we're in it, I'm like looking and trying to pay attention. Am I asking the right questions? Am I doing the right things? Which I felt I was. And so, yes, I definitely felt that way. I didn't know how quickly. Like I probably would have been happy just like living together for longer than we did.
Really?
Probably.
So you wasn't really marriage minded like that? Were you like, no, I have to be married by 30?
No.
That whole thing?
I was. But by the time we met, I think I felt more comfortable with just like, oh, this feels good. And we want the same things. I'm not pressed. Because I was a month from 30, by the way, when we met. He was 6 months. I'm 6 months older than him. So I was just like,
God, I'm an older woman.
I was just like, okay, this is good. And I don't think I ever thought in a million years he would have proposed that soon.
Really?
I don't think I thought that he would. I was down for 6 months or a year or 2 years. I was just present.
When you find what you want on the menu, put it down.
What did you think about that? the fact that you thought you gave him more time than what he needed, and he said that he wasn't going to waste his time with you.
Wait, hold on. What was that? Oh, okay. I couldn't focus because he was doing something to my face.
Like, what are you doing? No, how did you feel about that? You said that you didn't have a shot clock for him, but he made a very intentional decision saying he ain't got time to be wasting with you.
That was very meaningful to me.
Why?
Like literally just him being that decisive. I would say the why is that decisiveness. I dated.
That decisiveness has also gotten me in trouble in other ways.
Where are you trying to go?
Probably talk about business decisions and stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've dated people who, y'all be wanting to call somebody wife or wifey or whatever.
Ain't got no intentions of marrying.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there was a certainty that was very meaningful to me.
A certainty. That's powerful. Did you have any friends that was telling you, Tommy? I know you only got like a half a friend because you said you don't trust nobody, you don't hang around, you don't like people. But was there anybody in your circle that was saying, "Man, slow down a little bit. You're moving too fast"?
So, Sean.
Oh my God! He said your circle. Sean is my best friend, and she lived in Dubai at the time that we met.
She lived in Dubai.
I don't know why you had go on, say what you want to say.
So Sean said you moving too fast, Tommy, or telling her she moving too fast.
So Sean is one of her best friends. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get in trouble with your other friends calling her your only best friend.
I did not.
You said my best friend.
I call all of them my best friend. That's probably my biggest flaw.
It's like she's really good at that.
Kimberly, my best friend. Sean, my best. That's how I do it. Nevertheless, can we?
Too, so you gonna get in trouble.
No, I stopped the list.
The list. She has a whole list.
So one of her best friends and I.
We're the opposite in that way.
We didn't get along for years because of this one phone call. And it was in the beginning because I knew Sean was important to her. And so wanted to talk. And so her first question back, why so fast?
Soon? Oh, why so fast? Yeah.
Broad.
Lord, she's going to be so mad at you rehashing this.
She is.
I'm going to tell her about it right after this.
Love Sean.
Siri? No, I'm just kidding.
Love Sean to death. Seriously. She, like Maura said, I don't want people in our house. Sean come over anytime.
Yeah.
Like she is family, like in the best possible way.
But it was dark for a while there.
But it was years. And it was like.
But okay, he asked you if there was anyone in your circle that was like, Tommy, slow your roll. Somebody who knew you, not me.
No, not at all.
Really?
No, I mean, part of it is people who know me, they know that
you ain't gonna make a decision.
No, and I've never.
That's fair.
I'm not the sort of person where I'm just all over the place or just loosey goosey, and so I didn't fall easily for people. Like it wasn't any of that.
That's fair.
Clearly, I can see that. I can see that, Tommy, that you don't fall for nothing easy.
Nothing.
And so if I'm like, nah, this is what it is. This is who she is. Yeah. And so one of the people, the guy that she was talking to at the party, his
Qasim.
name, yes, Qasim Basir. He's one of my dearest friends, and he was one of my two best men. And so he was one of those 5 people that I called. And so that a Sunday after we were hanging out, and so he was there day one when we met.
He took the first picture of us.
Wow,
yep.
That's dope.
In the back of the cab in Toronto.
That's dope.
Yep. That was the second day when we were going to some other party.
That's dope.
Or was it the first night?
I think it was the first day. I don't know. It's a blur. Might have been the second.
Actually, no, I think it was the first. We left that one and we went somewhere else together. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. And so, yeah, it was him, Keith, who was my other best man, Omar.
Mm-hmm. Our friend, his friend, who's now my friend too, who's getting married in May.
Yep. Yeah. And Scoop, who's
his cousin.
Yep, my cousin, who's also King Bobine, played him in my film 1982.
Because it was semi-autobiographical.
I don't know what the 5th was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to this man. I'm sorry to this man.
No, it was Atia.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so my cousin was like my sister.
I know she was like, huh? But okay.
And so, but that's what it was, and they all know me very well, and so I've known, all of them for forever.
Yeah.
And so Atia and I are the same age, so we grew up together. Scoop, my cousin's older than me, so he's known me my entire life. Keith and I have known each other at this point 24 years. And I guess Q's the newest, but even him, it's been
at least
15 years.
With the question that she asked you, why so soon, how did you answer it? I know you took offense to it, but you could have given a great answer to win over.
And this was like the first time they ever spoke.
Yeah,
Correct.
so it's like they're going to be extremely protective over her. So why could you just win over with your gift of gab?
Because friends are important, but in terms of understanding their levels to what it is, I respect your friendship, but this is at that point my future wife and my future wifey, and so you gonna fall in line.
Look at Codie.
I'm calling her immediately after this.
That's what it is. It's like, look, this is my wife, and so you can be on the outside, and it's gonna be weird because it's one of those things that you learn sort of early in a relationship or a marriage where it's the two of you and everybody else is on the outside. Even for somebody like her who pulls everybody in, friends, family,
me.
You.
But if we're talking about stuff, not everybody gets a say. We're talking about stuff, it's you and me.
Yeah.
And then if it works, it's got to work together, and we have to figure out how we can grow together and build together. And so I wasn't that, I guess, aggressive with it, but I was also like, I'm going to marry her, and I would like for us to get along, but I'm going to marry her. And if we aren't seeing eye to eye, it's going to be a lot harder for you and your best friend.
And it was.
It was.
Again,
so what did you think about that? Do you feel like he was dogmatic in his approach, or you believe that that's real? Because that's what marriage is, forsaking all others.
Once again, trauma. I don't remember when I found out. You know what I mean? There's that. So he had called two of my best friends before his birthday, like he had called my mom. And so obviously I didn't know. Oh no, I take that back. I did know. But she didn't tell me the exchange. She did tell me that you spoke. That's a whole nother. Anyway, so I say that to say, by the time I found out that the exchange was negative, I certainly understand him. Like the same as he just said about his 5 best friends. I know him well enough to know where he sits and like how immovable he is. And I also know she can actually be the same. You know what I mean? Like, it just sucked, if I'm being honest. It was not easy to come back from. And I don't think, I don't want to say I don't think there was a wrong or a right. I just mean like, he's who he is, she's who she is. They both love me. I love them. I was just hopeful that one day they would love each other.
And they love each other again?
They so do.
Good.
But like, whew.
It was a minute.
Darkness.
But my whole thing was how it happened. And so you can have that concern. Don't start that way. Like sometimes like Codie and I'll get a little mad at Codie where I'll come home and she'll just ask me something about the kids, or in the morning you'll ask me something. Hi, Codie. Hi, wife. Good morning. And it's just like,
you come home in the morning?
No, not in the morning. We wake up.
In the morning, we wake up.
And you say something, you're talking about these things already, or it was like.
So you're saying basically the approach, the greeting, it should come with.
Correct. It's like you can have concerns. Let's talk about it in a way that we are trying to actually address them or solve them in some way. And I'm also, again, I'm going to marry her with or without you being okay with it. I'm trying to be.
I think it was short-sighted on her part to respond in that way.
I'm trying to make sure that this is inclusive.
Yeah.
But I'm not the one. It's like, don't.
Well, I'm glad that's over. Truly. But you guys have no idea.
For as
I can imagine,
as uncomfortable as it was, she's amazing. Like we're all incredibly close now.
Brother and sister now. Yeah. Sitting at the feet of how many interviews have y'all done with Black Love?
250.
250. Doing 250 interviews. How did that help y'all with y'all's own marriage?
It helped and it hurt.
The hurting is partially because, or probably a couple of things.
Okay.
We would often argue after the interviews.
Really?
Especially, this was early in our relationship.
Yeah.
And there would be something that a husband would do, and Codie would be like, see? And I'll be like, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no. So that's facts. It was an incredible like resource and like arsenal of information to choose how to be better for each other. But there's also like stuff that would happen for sure. I mean, there's one that stands out in my mind. I actually just told Ashley about it the other day. And I'm going to tell the story.
Go ahead.
So it was Dondre and Sally Whitfield. Mm-hmm. We had just had our twins November 12th, and we started interviewing. We had to do season 3 interviews like a month later, like no joke. And so we interviewed Dondre and Sally the same day as Kev and Melissa Fredericks. And what the example was that Dondre and Sally at this point had been married, I don't know, 16 years at least. The example that he had shared was like, he knows that it calms his wife's anxiety if she asks him to do something and he confirms that he'll be like, okay, I'll do it. And then he tells her once it's done. We had and still have like sort of this ongoing, he don't like to give me that follow-up confirmation, right?
I don't have an issue with the follow-up confirmation.
And so this is my memory of the experience and today. So I remember them talking about this. It was something simple like feeding the dog or calling the landscaper or whatever. And he, Dondre is very like firm in his, I this is how I show up and this is why it's important. So he's like, I know it calms. I think he said like quells my wife's anxiety. I'm like, ooh, say it to me.
Quells.
Like I know, like he said something to that effect, and to confirm with her that I've done it. So she's not living in that space of has it been done, and she has to follow up with me and da 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 da. So I remember this interview is over. We're probably in the car at this point, and this is what would happen. And I would be like, so when Dondre said this, like that's how I feel. Like, could you do that? And he was like, nah, that's not me. I don't remember the exact words, right? But these are the examples of like, and it would happen both ways, I'm sure, where we would see something and be like, can you do that? And it's just like, no, I cannot.
Tommy about to say something.
Of course I am.
What you gonna say, Tommy?
So to continue with that one with them.
Okay.
I have no issue with that, and I do that. The difference is that you can ask me to do something,
but don't tell me how to do it. I know that. I still want you when you did it to say,
I know.
Hey,
Codie,
babe,
you still try to tell me how to do it,
no,
or yes.
I don't think so.
He said, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I really don't. I really try hard not to tell you how to do it because I know that.
But you also do in the middle. It's like, don't ask me. Like, I'm happy.
If I say anything in the middle, it's, hey, did you do that yet?
Why are you lying to them?
I'm not. I wasn't even looking at them when I said it. I wasn't even looking at them.
Why are you lying to them? Don't do that.
Okay, agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
But so, you want an example on your end? Like where I'm,
Sure.
Okay. DeWanda Wise and Alano Miller.
Oh, yes.
So I see the interview.
DeWanda, star of, was she?
Lots of things. She Gotta Have It.
Underground Railroad,
and,
wasn't it?
She's in Jurassic Park, and Jurassic World, and she's lots of stuff. And so
all the things. And she has this beautiful saying that is it marriage or love? Is it marriage? Marriage is like Lord, I'm gonna mess it up. Yes. He's basically like, marriage is simple, essentially. It's like making coffee for two. If I'm gonna make a cup of coffee for me, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee for you. It's about being considerate and thoughtful.
So we were
I'm like, you can ask for a cup of coffee, okay? Okay, I'm being funny.
How many times?
I'm being funny.
We were with our mama this morning, and she was talking about how you were a little selfish.
No, you were talking about that.
And your mama was keen.
And she was like, you've been that way forever. Sis don't like to share her food. You know what I mean? Like, hello.
And so
nature, nurture, all of that.
I want to be thought of. I want to be considered. And so she will go through this whole process of doing whatever and be there with her cup of coffee.
I'm getting better. No? I'm getting better. Don't even lie. I've been asking you if you want tea because I drink tea now. I drink coffee as well, but at night I drink tea.
But it's probably taken about 8 years of marriage for something that is relatively simple but important to me. And so we operate differently. And part of it is we have a tendency to love the way that we want to be loved.
That part.
But it's important to communicate how you want to be loved.
Absolutely.
And I've said that it's really important. And then she still just shows up with
one cup of
coffee. And then I get in trouble for having an issue with, it was like, why can't you just ask me or think of
So when that interview happened, he brought that to your attention?
Yes.
And then what did you say?
Wait, the DeWanda one?
Yeah.
Oh, what did I say at the time? I mean, I probably said the same thing I'm saying now, like, like blush and like, okay, I hear you. You know, he had already articulated this was a thing.
Yeah.
Right, literally about coffee, right? I would make coffee in the morning and he'd be like, hello.
And never make him a cup.
Right. And so she said it. And so now I know that's like probably the best line in Black Love for him. I wish I could have said it the way she said it.
But
she was very elegant with it.
But so those are things that we would fight over, and
that sounds more superficial than it is. Like there would be plenty. There would be plenty of.
What I care about.
No. I'm saying both. I'm saying like
you talking about hindsight being 2020. It looks like small things, but they're speaking to a bigger issue. It's like It's like when you look at the 5 love languages. It's saying that acts of service and quality time. That's an act of service for him, and it's like, oh well, this and for vice versa is meeting whatever that core need is for you, and it's like, oh okay. And which is interesting because when I asked about what y'all learned from the interviews, the first thing y'all talk about is something negative.
No, I said both.
Yeah, but you start giving examples of the negative.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that stands out the most, oftentimes.
Yeah, and in part, look, we've learned a ton of things, and our marriage village is pretty immense.
I bet it is. I bet it's amazing.
And I remember as we were shooting the first season, I had this feeling as we shot, dozens of couples, and just for me, learning and hearing from all of these men who have been married for so long, and the only people who had that information was just us at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
And we were engaged when we started the interviews.
Correct.
Oh, really?
But I also want to put something else in perspective. So we were engaged when we started the interviews in September 2014. We got married February 2015. Still doing interviews, which we actually did a lot that summer, 2015, that summer, which again, show did not premiere till 2017.
Oh.
And so we just kept doing interviews. Actually, we completed season 1 at the end of 2016.
Actually, you remember where we actually completed season 1?
You mean in the kitchen table?
No. I completed season 1
here
on my laptop
over Christmas break
to the last episode.
Yes, at my mama's house.
So you're from Fort Worth?
Yes.
So born and raised in Fort Worth?
Yes.
That's what I thought. So that's dope. Love it. And you were editing during the holidays.
Yeah.
Final tweaks.
That's dope.
But we got married in February 2015. We had our first child October 2016, and we had twins November 2018.
Wow.
So, and we met September 2013. So by the time we got to that Dondre and Sally interview, for example, right? It's the end of 2018. We've known each other for 5 years.
Yep.
We've been married for almost 4. And we now have 3 children, and we work together. Talking about marriage all the time, none of which is bad. It's just a lot happening.
Was that y'all's full-time job?
I think you were. Yes, it was probably our main focus. But Tommy was also filming a documentary at that time.
Yeah.
And am I missing another movie?
I was writing.
He was writing as well.
So you're a full-time creator, full-time filmmaker, and all that.
With 3 new children. Both of us, so I say that to say those are like pressure cooker scenarios. And so while there was lots of good information and beautiful relationships and little nuggets that like, okay, this is great. There was also, for me, and I know I would assume for you, there was also a lot of stress.
Absolutely.
And a lot of like being pulled in different places. Like I wasn't just we didn't just become parents. I was pregnant through most of that. And so it's a lot of change, and so it was chaos.
And that was also
like hormonal chaos, to say the least.
That was also when we started hiring people.
Yeah. We launched blacklove.com, the Black Love Summit in 2018. We started hiring people. We created a team. That's a lot.
So y'all were aligned when the network gave y'all the license fee to say, we're going to use this money to advertise. And y'all both was in agreement with that.
To advertise, to reinvest into the show and into Black Love, the brand.
Do y'all know?
It wasn't quite that easy. I mean, early on, we had conversations and disagreements just about our approach to money that were related.
We did. They weren't really after that point. They were before that point. We had like our one argument in the kitchen, and that's when I was like, "Oh, you got it."
So what made you submit to his ideas when it came to that?
You want to share that argument?
Not really. Not because I'm anything. We're an open book. I'm just like, I want to talk about Dear Future Wifey and Black Love. And all, okay.
Here's the thing. Look, you know me. I don't do this. I don't do this, and we're gonna talk about it.
But then don't be like, you want to talk about it. You want to share the argument?
No. Us together. And so y'all got me on this sofa.
The short version is that we got into an argument while engaged that summer. So we got engaged his birthday, March 2014, and we got married almost a year later.
Your birthday, March what?
15th.
Mine's March 29th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we got into an argument in the kitchen that summer about something he had sold or whatever. And so it was like, are we going to put this money into savings? Or are we going to reinvest it into, I think at the time was optioning a script. Because this is before we had started filming Black Love. We were about to produce a film with Qasim. And me.
And The Perfect Guy.
Were you shooting The Perfect Guy at that time? I think you were.
I think it was, that summer. Yeah. That's when we shot it.
So we just... Again, we've known each other for 6 months. We're coming into this relationship with like, you get money and you save it. You know what I mean? Like you pay your bills and you save the rest. This is me.
That's how women think.
And he's like, and not just women. Like I mean, sure, but I'm come from entrepreneurs, also doctor, lawyer who had their own practices, like certain elements of structure. And I'm hearing him be like, nah, let's take this money and option this script for the promise of more money later, right? I'm making fun, but exactly. That's that creative I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But but that's actually the businessman, right?
Absolutely.
Because creatives don't always think about, here, let me put this dollar in here to make 10
money
later.
Yeah.
And that's what he was trying to do. And I was like, not trying to do that at all. But it wasn't that I didn't believe in it. I wasn't comfortable with it.
That part.
And so us having the argument, which I think was probably some arguments are good.
They're great.
It was.
It's great.
It was a philosophical disagreement. It wasn't an argument.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that we really talked about what our approach would be.
Yes.
And it wasn't that I was opposed to saving at all. It was, we were talking about approximately
10.
No, it was more than that.
Oh.
It's about 50,000 or so.
Oh.
And so
she got nervous all again.
Oh my God. You could have saved half of that anyway.
But it was also, again, I was producing my first studio movie. And so it was The Perfect Guy. And we're just talking about these things. And so it was, the way that I thought about it, we didn't have enough to both invest in the way that I thought we should and save. And so the argument was that if we do this right, we'll have plenty to save.
Absolutely.
And so
did it work out?
For sure. I don't remember what we optioned or what you optioned, but it, whatever it was, it worked out. And most importantly, the argument or the discussion led me to, I know how I feel, and I know that my feeling is mostly fear-based, right? And I hear you being really thoughtful about how to use money to make more money.
Yeah.
And so as scary as that might be for me, okay, go ahead, do your thing. It was also a little bit of like, submission isn't the right word, but it was like I decided an area where I knew I did not have expertise, that it was best for me to literally let him lead. I had no opinions after that. I mean, I have opinions, sure, but I wasn't about to be pushy about this any longer because I felt like it was a good time to show that I trusted him.
And she did. And it was great. And so one of the things that was pretty transformational was that, again, we own Black Love. We own every single episode, every single season, every single derivative, all of it. We own it.
Who taught you that?
What would your answer be?
Experience, observation from what happens when you don't own something.
Yeah, so combination of I read and read a lot. I grew up in the hood in Philly, and I saw a lot of what I didn't want for me and my family. And so I love where I grew up and I learned a lot, but also the approach to money or the approach to just the long-term thinking was different. And so I remember being, I don't know, a kid, and I just wouldn't stop reading. And so everything from, I don't know, when I was young, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Millionaire Next Door, or whatever it may have been.
Who moved my cheese?
all those things.
Yeah.
And then with The Perfect Guy, which was my first studio movie, it was Sanaa Lathan, Michael Ealy, Morris Chestnut. Movie cost $12 million. Did open up number one in the U.S. Did $60 million at the box office. Another $40 million plus in ancillaries. Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
I made that much money.
How?
Because I didn't have any piece of ownership or real back end or anything. It was my first studio movie, but it's also the understanding of the misalignment of interest. And so,
misalignment of interest.
Mm-hmm. And so, knowing that the thing that we have control over, us, our work ethic, our ability to make stuff happen, and the willingness to do the work, because it is work. It's
a lot
understanding
of work.
How to structure something, understanding what makes sense and what doesn't, where there's leverage, when there's not, and how to put things together and to do all those things, and knowing the right time to press. And so it was just experience of having gone through and realizing that we made, even with the comically low license fee of season 1, made more money on season 1 than I did on a studio movie that opened up number 1 in the US.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You talk about stuff like Sinners and Coog,
yeah,
and the importance of ownership,
yeah,
and how it's a fundamental difference in what it looks like.
That's a good. Do you ever teach workshops and stuff like that? Do you speak at workshops about the power of ownership in filmmaking and helping creatives and burgeoning filmmakers learn how to structure deals?
I should do more. I want to do more. I mean, I at this point, I'm on a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know, fortunately, like I'm on the national board for the Producers Guild. I'm in the Academy, in the Producers Branch, and I'm also on the BEC, the Branch Executive Committee. I'm on, all these other things, and so it's like I'll do a lot of things where I co-chair the Indie Committee, I think that's what it is, for the PGA. And so we'll do workshops at our office, and I try my best to talk to people and help out in terms of how we're thinking about these things.
Yeah.
But not as much as I should, because there's so much more. There's so much more. And even within this craziness, there's opportunity. I'm going to digress very quickly.
Go ahead.
So we started financing movies in 2022. And two of the first 3 movies we put money into, Young Wild Free, which super talented director Timmy Banks. We co-filed that movie with Macro, 50-50. A movie called Fancy Dance from super talented Native American writer-director, co-writer.
Female writer-director.
Yeah, both of them. And so Erica Tremblay. And we did the Nikki Giovanni doc, which amazing, wonderful married couple.
Directors.
Yes. And so you would actually quite like them.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Okay.
But the thing with Fancy Dance and Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project, nobody wanted to finance them. Nobody. And so Nikki Giovanni, they had been shooting this film for years on their own, trying to raise money. And went through all the places, and they've got a track record. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're proven, and it's Nikki Giovanni. And so it's already been at least partially de-risked because they've shot some stuff, but nobody would raise their hand. And when I say nobody, I mean nobody, with the exception of there was, I think, one company that wanted to basically sanitize the storytelling and turn it into something that wouldn't work, which often happens with our stories.
I'm trying to tell you.
Where the thing you get on the other side is so far removed from what it could be or should be, and then it doesn't work.
It started out as.
It didn't work.
They're like, hey, it doesn't work. Well, no, it's not us. It's not appropriately representative.
Absolutely.
And so we came in and we did about 80% of the equity on that one. And then on Fancy Dance, we did 90% of it. And so there was another partner as well, Nina Yang Bon Jovi, super successful producer. She was already in for 10%, but could not find another company to cut a check, even though everybody talked about, hey, we want to tell stories from Native American perspective. We want to do all these things. And so we came in, we did both. And when I say, I'm not being hyperbolic, that nobody else wanted to. Nobody else wanted to. Both of those movies were at Sundance. Both of those movies not are only creatively successful. I think one's at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. The other one's at 97%, 98%. But also both profitable. Both licensed to HBO and won an Emmy. I'm shortlisted for an Oscar.
Wow.
The other licensed to Apple profitably.
Wow.
And so it's just the point of being able to tell our stories and understand when you don't have to sell the importance of culture.
That part.
Because without the cultural lens where you understand something, you can't actually assess it correctly.
Yep.
Which is why 99 other people or places all couldn't assess it accurately. There was money to be made.
Yeah.
When we talk about what's happening now, it's not about, it's just we're trying to be nice, we're trying to do stuff. It's like you cannot care about that. You can just want to make money.
Yeah.
There's money to be made. Like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
Are you myopic? Like, what are you doing? Or do you just hate us that much where you don't want to make money, just like you don't want to work with us that much?
Yep.
And so we'll stop there on the digression, but to answer your question, not as much as I should, because I believe firmly in supporting and giving back and empowering, and the idea of this asymmetrical information where I know stuff that you don't, and I'm going to hold that tight. So it's like, no, a rising tide raises all ships. We should all be winning together.
See, and I know a lot of stuff that you've done. I didn't know that you've done this much, and it's amazing how. And that's what I mean by purpose partners. When he comes to you about ideas like that, do you now, after y'all been married how long? 8 years or 10 years? So 10 years, has it been where you like, baby, I trust you, you gonna invest in, you have like 6 or 7, because he told me earlier, it's probably about 9, 10 projects out there.
He looking at me like the answer is no, but I feel like
I'm just looking at you.
I don't push back on any of your creative or business endeavors. Yeah, I was like, hold on, why are you looking at me like that?
Look at me like that. I do a great job on that.
I really don't.
And so, so that works for y'all, for you to trust him fully in his business decisions and knowing that he has your full support in how he's moving and shaking out here in this world, creating impact. One of the people that you introduced me to as a couple during the pandemic, at one point I had talked to you about partnering with me on this Black Love Matter ceremony I was doing. But when I said Codie was scared of COVID, she was like, hey, what's wrong with y'all in Texas? Y'all over here, y'all crazy. People dying. What are you doing? She was scared.
If there's more time, there's another good COVID story about what we were fighting about, because she was understandably
Long
scared.
story short.
You want to tell something else?
No, I got the 30-second version. I mean, the right way is that our community was protesting the ridiculous murder of George Floyd at the same time as COVID.
Yep.
So many people, especially in Los Angeles, were out in the streets, literally protesting. My husband
was out there shooting.
Decided to go out and take photos.
He was out there shooting,
which I'm making light of right now. This because I'm going to my 2020 self. Right, I got it. It's important. I think those photos should exist. That one, the first time you go, the second time I'm like, bro.
But it wasn't even about the photos for me.
3 children at home.
I could not be out there. The photos were an afterthought.
Got it.
Which we talked
yes.
about.
I mean, it's a blur now. But yes, Tommy was in the streets protesting. He also had his camera. He took beautiful photos that are now in the Smithsonian, the African American Museum in DC, which none of which would have happened if he hadn't been out in the streets. And importantly, not about his photos being there, but this moment wasn't appropriately documented, frankly, by anyone but him at that time.
Yep.
So yes, Mama was very serious about the COVID.
But we fought about it.
And he took his clothes off when he would walk in the door and shower and sleep somewhere else in the house. All of that. And the clothes, I don't know if they went in the trash or the laundry. I don't know. Don't get them in my face.
She had me, again, I couldn't see her when I came in. I had to shower. I had to sleep somewhere else. No.
You look at it and put you in a motel.
I told her, she was like, "What are you doing, Laterra? These people are
say it like
yes,
that.
you did, because I told you. I said Kariga and Fee. So I asked you to connect me to them because their episode on Black Love wrecked me. I watched it in this studio, and I was pacing back and forth when he began to say, "I'm trying to have a moment with it." When he began to sing that song,
"Stand by Me,"
I was walking. It was as if I knew them personally. I cried loud. It wasn't just a tear streaming down. I said, I was just going crazy. Yeah. And I said, I got to have them on the podcast. So I reached out to you and I said, can you connect me with them? And after they said, yeah, we're going to come and do the podcast. You was like, they're coming in COVID? What is wrong? She was losing it. She was like, why would they come to Dallas? It's a hot, what they used to call it back then? Yeah, hotbed for COVID. Yeah. It's like, what is going on? She was like, what? Y'all are just, what? She just thought we was making the worst decisions in the world to go do that. What are you about to say, Tommy?
So, for all of the 40 episodes of Black Love, I cut 2 things the entire 6 seasons. You remember the 2 things?
Go ahead.
So I cut we had primarily one editor for the show. We had one other.
Christopher Scott Chereau.
Yes. But I cut 2 things because I'm also an editor. And so I cut the finale for the first season. We were trying to decide what it was and what it looked like, and there was an idea for it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go do it. And so wanted to feel like we had just gone on this journey with these people that we've really fallen for, and then it's this sort of yearbook-esque where we're just looking back, and it feels good and it feels nostalgic. And so I cut that. That's what I was finishing at when we were here. And so, but it was actually a little bit different because we were in our office. We had just got an office and we were cutting that. And that's where we saw the futon. It was at 11 at night. And I started cutting.
We had a 3-month-old.
Wow.
And so I was cutting it, woke her up at 2 a.m. when I was done. And she was like, she liked it. She approved.
Good. And
the only other thing I cut throughout the entire series was that episode. And so for the entire 6 seasons, all of the episodes are intercut with a bunch of couples, and that's just what it was. And it's also the only interview out of all the interviews that we shot where we shot that in their home, and I was just crying as we were shooting it. I was crying. And I'm not an emotional person.
We can tell, Tommy.
Tell him,
I think everybody knows that you're a thug in the heart space. You don't cry about nothing. You break your arm and be like, it's going to heal.
Really? It's like, what am I worried about? It's like it'll heal or it won't. It's like, I'll be fine. I'm doing what I need to do.
Exactly.
But they had me. I mean, they're just unbelievable people, and their strength and love and commitment and ability to give voice to what they dealt with and how they dealt with it. And I was just crying.
And Tommy typically knows very little about the couples before we go in. I do the research and, set up the interviews, conversations, and then, he's just like, okay, who's this today? So he's experiencing that for the first time. But
also, and our boy Context. So
Kariga, he says context a lot.
Context. Yes. We shot all of the interviews with just the 2 of us. And so, which is quite different than most broadcast shows. It's just the two of us for all of the interviews. And so there's not an AD and a gaffer and somebody else over there. It's just us doing all of it.
No matter how much y'all grew, y'all just kept y'all two.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's also to her credit where she's an amazing interviewer.
Absolutely.
And so just empathetic, and she cares, and she knows how to, I don't know, make people comfortable because she really does care. It's not a performance. And so but it's just the difference between it being four of us in a room where it's kind of like we're all having dinner, and we're a couple that wants to learn, wants to know what we can do better, what we can do differently. It's a different dynamic when it's just the four of us.
Yeah.
But also, part of the reason for Black Love, the docuseries, was so that we could learn generally, right? Because when we started, we were engaged. We were just trying to learn marriage, right? Whatever that means. Then as we started to experience marriage and have children and all these different elements to life, our questions changed. The couples that I sought out changed. And it was always a resource for all of us with whatever sort of understanding we had of what to, inquire about. But it was always a resource for us as Black people. And for me, it was, I want to know all of the challenges that you've had and how you got through them. And which, can backfire on us a little bit. But I do want to speak to Kariga and Felicia in particular, because the reason that I sought them out, and they know this, is that while we were at home with I want to say 6-month-old twins, one of my good friends, 9-month-old, passed away. And at the time, I did not know what to do. And certainly the survivor's remorse of like, we're sitting here with these two babies and my friend has lost hers. And the only way I knew how to help her, because this was also was this COVID-ish? This was like 21, maybe? Yeah. 2020 when Kamayu was born. And so when I was looking for how to help her, I was like, I want to find someone who can give her advice or just tell their story. And I literally found, Kariga shares a lot on the internet. And so that's how I met them, through the internet, through Instagram. And so they obviously are a gift to all of us in how they share their love for each other, their love for their babies, their love for Black people. But for me at that time, I was like, anyone who's going through or gone through the experience that my friend was dealing with at that time, hopefully this is what we can give voice to for our community. And we did that, whether it was bankruptcy, whether it was infidelity, whether it was loss of a parent. There was the idea was, how do we capture all of like life is hard. Life is hard. How do we capture the way life hits you and the way that we show up and the now I'm trying to cover my how do we do that and stay married to the best of our ability? That was, for me, one of the most important things about choosing the stories and also just not judging the stories either.
Did that break you down when you was doing that interview with Kariga and Felicia?
For sure. I mean, every for sure. But I also had gone down the rabbit hole. I'd seen every post that Kariga had shared. And so what I felt for sure was their pain. For those who, I think it's clear now, but their daughter was born and passed the same day. And so I felt their pain, but seeing them in person, I even more strongly than online felt their love for each other. Yep. I was blown away at how they're able to communicate all of it, the pain, the joy, they were able to laugh and reflect on, being high school sweethearts and going to Hampton together, but also that experience. And you talked about pacing while you were watching. And I remember Kariga was in the hospital room singing Stand By Me to Felicia. Whew. So they gave us a gift in that they gave voice to pain.
Grief is love with nowhere to go.
Bruh, that's a Kariga's line, but also, I mean, I know he didn't make it up. He had read that, but grief is love with nowhere to go. And while they're telling the story of their baby, all of us need to, I don't want to tell people what to do, but it's a word for everyone, right? And because we all experience loss and grief.
When I say I was so glad that you just let that episode roll and it wasn't cutting in between other people's stories, because you allowed us to feel it. And when I say it had a visceral effect on me, I mean, it was so transformational for me that it had me weep for a total stranger, but it felt like that was my brother. And then later he became my brother.
I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I was just like, but I was like, and another thing too, I have to give y'all props about not being selfish with contacts. You know what I'm saying? It's like some people are like, well, I ain't finna let y'all know. You know, it's like, I was like, hey, can you introduce me to them? Sure. You know what I'm saying? It was no question about it. So I do appreciate that, because not often, as y'all know, in this industry, in this business, people are not going to be that open-handed with stuff.
I think that's one of the things that Codie and I have always connected on without ever really needing to talk about. We want everybody to win.
Exactly.
Especially if you're doing your part.
Exactly.
So it's not about a handout. Like, you're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Why would Codie not help or connect? And so it's just as a people, as a society, we need to do those things.
Absolutely.
And not gatekeep, not whatever. It's like, nah, we are going to help and we're going to support. And for me, if I can help and I'm not, that's a problem.
Yeah. Codie, you and I want to talk about this real briefly about some of the negative stuff that we get trying to do great work. You can do 10,000 episodes. If you have one episode that goes viral, that people have a negative.
Don't even say one episode. You could have one snippet go viral. You could have 60 seconds go viral.
And then it's just like, this is the Black love curse. It's like, what? How do y'all deal with stuff like that?
We deal with it differently.
How?
I mean, I internalize. And this has been the case since the beginning. I'm very protective of our couples.
Me too.
They share their stories vulnerably to me and Tommy, again, in a room, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we do our best to represent them, both sides of the story, right? Both spouses, as well as the context, right? If somebody's telling us something about infidelity, which everybody is like, that's the big, the big, we agree to hate that.
Yeah.
And I'm not mocking it to say it's okay. I'm just saying that people's reaction is they wanted it to be one thing.
Yeah.
And the reality is, again, people show up in their relationships as the sum of the 20, 30, 40 years before it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they are married and immature. Sometimes they're married and they had terrible examples and thought that was love. I mean, I'm not D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
This is a person who admitted to being unfaithful, and people still try to drag them on the internet and her for staying. But at the end of the day, this man also gave endless love to his wife, and it didn't look how everybody else wants it to look, but it works for them.
Yep.
And he made there was a point at which he no longer did that thing.
Yep.
And that's all right with her.
Facts.
That they are in that place now. I'm just using him as an example. But my point is that we made it a point to understand where people were coming from and to also show that. And again, whether it was infidelity or bankruptcy, right? Flex tells his whole backstory about not really knowing, not understanding how to manage money.
Yeah.
Y'all not tearing him down. Anyway. But you and I have talked about how the internet will take 60 seconds or less and make that the end all be all.
And how do you deal with it, Tommy?
What would you say?
I would say like this. He's accepting of the fact that it happens. Right?
Yeah, but I don't
bother you one bit.
I don't care. I don't give it much energy at all.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're doing our part and we're doing it in a way that is loving and considerate and measured. Mm-hmm. What's more important to me, though, is that of the 250 couples on Black Love, or I know the number's a lot higher once you include things like blacklove.com and our events and everything else, there's not one couple or one person who can say that we've ever misrepresented them.
Exactly.
There's not one couple we didn't do right by. And so that's what matters. And I think what we also get when people talk about struggle love, a lot of times it comes from people who haven't been in long-term relationships or haven't been married.
That part.
The comments, yeah.
Yep.
You outside the club talking about how you can't get in. It's I don't know a marriage that has made it or persevered that has not struggled. We've struggled. So many people have struggled. Like, that is what it takes. And so it's, if it's not easy, I don't want it. Okay. If that's what works for you, cool. But what Codie says a lot is the idea of what are the things that you went through and how did you get through them? Yeah. That's what's helpful for me. That's what I know other people have responded to, because, that's what happens at those points. They got through that. We can talk about it and figure out our way to get through it as well.
Right.
That part.
Period.
That part.
And so,
or not. We can choose to do the work. Or we can say, that's my line and I'm going to walk away. But now at least you have an example if you want to try.
Correct. And also, one thing that we have never done either is we don't judge our couples.
Me either.
And so what works for them, not our relationship. We're not with them. It's their relationship, and it is for them to choose whether it works for them or not.
Which is interesting, because I'll be like, how do we get so invested in other people's marriages to tell them what they shouldn't have done or what they should do? And I was like, I've never taken the heart posture of saying, well, y'all don't need to be together no more. I'd be like, yeah, I wasn't even invited to the wedding. How am I going to be able to have a decision on what y'all?
But I also like, even if that's my feeling, I'm going to say, so how did that work for you?
Period.
Or what happened next? Like, I'm going to ask the questions so that it comes out.
Yeah.
But also, it doesn't have to work for us.
Yeah.
However they work doesn't have to work for us. We can take the things that work, apply them to us, and discard the ones that don't. Also, when I say 92%, what does that mean to you?
92%?
92%.
First off, it's my favorite number.
Why 92%?
Number one, because 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris to save y'all. Number one.
And number two, what is 92%?
But also, people like to say that there was a black love curse.
Yeah.
And all these people got divorced.
So,
first of all,
question before you say that, you know what the divorce rate in the U.S. is?
Well, 50.
Okay.
Do you know what the divorce rate on black love is?
No.
8% got divorced. That means 92%. Let me calm down. That means 92% of the couples featured on the Black Love Docuseries are still married.
And they want to try to say something about, when you told me that, I said, Black Love Curse? I never heard of that.
I've heard of it.
Again, that's where.
Thank you, TikTok.
That's where there's a noise and a disproportionate amount of noise to what is the reality. And so we spend time making sure that the people that we shoot are people who want to be together, and they're in it for the right reasons.
Together. So in the pre-interview,
you end up that way.
So
right?
in the pre-interview, you think of that.
So
in the research, in the conversations that we're having, in the fact that we mostly interview couples who have been referred to us by someone else.
Okay.
Because it's not about press or TV or any of those things. And so, yes, there are celebrities, but in the 6 seasons, you've never seen a description of what somebody does or what the profession is.
I noticed that too, which is a page I took from y'all. I said, I noticed that I don't be knowing who some of these people are, which make me go, it's not about who they are, it's about their marriage.
Correct.
And I said, I like that. So that's one of the things that I said, I don't be introducing people's backgrounds and stuff like that. And people be like, and people got on to me about that. In the last episode, I had Fawn Weaving her husband. Why you wait to the very end to ask people what they do or how can we support them? I was like, because I want you to care about them, not what they do. And they's like, but while we're listening to them, we at least want to know who they are.
Well, they can Google it.
So you can pull off to the side and Google it. But that's what I noticed from y'all, so I took that from y'all. I said, we're just going to talk to these couples.
Yeah. So that's what it's always been about for us. And so that's very cool to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's always been about who's in it for the right reasons, who's trying to make it work, not just somebody who wants to be on TV. There are plenty of people who like, cool, not us. And so 92% of the couples that you've seen
are still married.
On the 6 seasons of Black Love are still married.
Love it.
Period.
Mic drop. Now what? It's called a Black Love Blessing. So
Yes.
Black Love Blessing.
It's called the Black Love Blessing. Listen, as we wrap up, y'all have a summit. Y'all do these summits. Basically, y'all do it annually, right?
Yeah.
Did y'all do the first one in Atlanta?
No, the first one was LA. The second one was Atlanta.
All right, second one's Atlanta, because I was jealous and I wish I would have invited me. But when is this?
I don't think we knew you then.
I know it, but I'll be thinking God can talk to you and just let you know I'm over here trying to do what I do.
But now we know each other. So
now we know each other.
Yeah.
So tell us about the summit y'all have coming up
Black
and how we
Love
can support
Summit,
it.
the 8th, is this the 8th? Will be in Los Angeles at Black Love headquarters. And go to blacklove.com.
The 8th of what? June?
No, the 8th summit. This is our 8th summit. Yes, it will be in October. Yes. And you should come this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to come. So what's the date so the people can support?
I forgot.
Okay.
October 25th.
Yes.
Ow.
October 25th.
We didn't even announce yet.
No, by the time.
By this come out, then no, because it'll drop. She won't be dropped around June.
Go to
sometime.
blacklove.com for all the details.
Blacklove.com.
Which we are doing a complete refresh of the website as well. And so it'll be cool.
People don't understand how hard it is to manage a website. It is so freaking expensive. It's so I look at y'all stuff and I get discouraged. I'll be like, I want to do. Never mind.
No, don't. Just call me.
I look up. I'll be like, I want to do my. Never mind. I'm good. Let me just stick to this podcast because it's a lot of work. I can see work in stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
if we can figure out a partner.
Yeah. Well, let's definitely. We got to talk all this stuff.
I know, right?
So this is amazing. What other things can we support? We got the summit coming up, October the 25th. Yeah. Link in the description, blacklove.com.
Noir.
Father Noir.
Father
June,
Noir.
The month of fatherhood. Tommy annually, this is the 5th year, takes portraits of Black fathers.
I love it.
Y'all, but look at all of them. Like, look at the whole gallery, because this is year 5 coming up.
You started this off 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Why was this important as we wrap up?
It comes down to representation still, where I didn't see enough positive representation of fatherhood. I love being a dad. We have 3 boys, and I love spending time with my kids. And we are out there and we're doing the work. And there's still, it's changing, but not quickly enough, the narrative around us showing up, doing the work and being there. And so I wanted to do a little bit that I can to was like, oh no, here's some more imagery. The same way that with Black Love, I don't know, there are plenty of happy Black couples that have been married for decades out here. We just didn't see them enough. And so,
Did you include your picture in it?
Actually, the first year, yes.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes.
Because people always be creating and putting other people as representation and forget about themselves. They do that all the time. You be like, what about you? You be like, no, it's fine. I want to help celebrate other people. You have a podcast, right?
Yes, the Mama's Den.
Mama's Den. How can we support that?
Please follow us on Instagram, watch on YouTube, and listen on all audio platforms.
Mama's Den.
Yep.
Love it.
Also, follow Black Love on
all the media sites,
YouTube and everywhere else.
Yes. Yes. Make sure y'all support Black Love, YouTube, Instagram, all social media. So y'all got that handle for everything?
Yeah.
And TikTok, y'all Black Love?
Black Love Inc.
Black Love Inc. That's what I thought. So Black Love Inc. Again, support them. I thank y'all. This is a huge guy wink for me, as I said at the beginning, because it's certain people that don't even know that they're mentoring me from afar, that I look at the work that y'all have done that has become a patch in this quilt of love that God has been creating for me on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. And I thank God for y'all. I thank God that y'all had the wherewithal, the bravery, the courage, the everything that was created for y'all to create Black Love, because it helped me tremendously. Listen, y'all give it up for my people, Codie and Tommy Oliver.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey.
Been writing these love letters to you.
Ladarian thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. Y'all have no idea how excited I am to have had Codie and Tommy on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. It's such a huge God wink, to say the least. So in honor of having them on the podcast and the great work that they've done with their show, Black Love, I decided to write this letter to my future wifey dedicated to Black love. Dear Future Wifey, there's a sacred rhythm to Black love. It's the way our eyes meet across a crowded room and say, I see you. Not just a surface you, but the version of you that survives storms. It's the way our hands fit like puzzle pieces, carrying generations of prayers, pain, and promise. Black love is a protest. It's healing in a world that tries to fracture us. It's a revolution with soft hands and fierce loyalty. When I love you, I'm not just loving the woman in front of me. I'm loving every Black woman who made you possible. The grandmothers who kept food on the stove and faith in the air. The mothers who carried the weight of the world and still made room for laughter. the sisters who taught you grace, grit, and how to glow in the dark. We won't always get it right. There will be missteps, disagreements, hard truths, but there will also be redemption. Because when we forgive, we rebuild, not just for us, but for every little black boy and girl who needs to believe that our love is not a myth. You and I will be a mirror to the beauty of our people. We'll redefine intimacy in a way that makes healing look holy. We'll build a legacy where love isn't just spoken, it's shown. And I promise, when I love you, it'll be with the weight of history and the light of a future where we keep choosing each other over and over again. This is Black Love, your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving.
Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.